This is my 2022 Specialized Crux, and this week marks 2 years of owning it. And I can't help but ask myself, with all the new gravel bikes that have come out since, would I buy the Specialized Crux today? And to understand my logic, I think you have to go back to the launch of the new Crux in October of 2021. See, at the time I was looking for a one bike solution, a bike that could do it all, essentially replacing my road and mountain bikes. It had to be something that was both fun on road and fun on gravel, even if that required two different wheel sets. Today I want to run through the following, so feel free to skip around as you'd like. I'm going to talk about my build, where I've landed after 2 years of tinkering. I want to talk about alternatives that I'd consider to the Crux, and ultimately where I land on this bike in late 2023. And if you're new, I share my perspective as what I call the everyday athlete. I ride around 7,500 miles a year, often before my kids are out of bed or before they have to go to school. I enter the occasional race and I don't get paid to ride a bike. This video isn't sponsored. I walked into my local Specialized dealer and bought this frame just like you would. After so many tweaks and changes, here's where I've landed on my Crux setup, which currently, as you see it here, weighs 16.75 pounds. This is a 2022 frame set with all SRAM force except for the crankset, which is SRAM red with a Quark power meter. I've gone back and forth on cranksets and gearing, and I've ultimately landed on a 4835 with a 1036 cassette. I find that this is plenty sufficient for riding gravel up in the hills, and it still gives me the flexibility to jump into a road group ride when I want to. And since I'm running a 4835 with a 1033 on my road bike, it's just very familiar. It has a set of Easton EC70 AX bars wrapped in lizard skins tape. It's like the super cush tape. It also has a Tarmac SL7 stem, and I've got a handful of questions about why I use that stem. Well, primarily that's because I already had the Tarmac SL7, and so I already had all of the out front mounts and everything for my lights and various things that I was using, so it just made sense to use the SL7 stem. Plus, I like the way that it looks. I have a Ceramic Speed SLT OHD headset bearing. I'm using Shimano XTR pedals, and I have the new Enve bottle cages. At one point I had a Ceramic Speed coated bottom bracket on this. I've now moved that to the SL8. Early this year, I started riding the Reserve 4044s, which have proven to be an excellent wheel set, one that I've swapped between the Crux and the Tarmac. At 1,368 grams, they're light, they're stiff, and they just frankly feel totally bulletproof. Because they're hooked, I paired them with the Continental Terra Speed tires in 40 millimeters. With the exception of still wanting to add the Reserve Fillmore valves to these wheels, I've essentially stopped tinkering with the Crux, and I've been completely content with this setup. Whether it's on gravel or a fast road group ride, it's been ultra dependable, and it swayed me from the idea that I needed two wheel sets for a one bike solution. But this isn't to say that I'm 100% committed to the Crux. See, there are three bikes that have really caught my eye. The first is the Allied Echo. Now, I had a chance to ride the Echo when I was in Bentonville earlier this summer, and I was blown away. While it may not have the tire clearance that the Crux has, its on-road performance is phenomenal. And when I took it off-road, I was equally impressed by how it performs. The second bike is the BMC Kaius. Something about the pure go-fast qualities and the integrated aero look of this bike appeals to me. But I also can't help but look at it for a while and think to myself, has the pendulum swung too far on this one, where we now have essentially an aero road bike with wider tire clearance? And then there's the Enve MOG, and yes, I owned one of these, but the design, frame geometry, and the stiffness, it just made for a very versatile bike, both on and off-road. And it's kind of something that I miss. When you add in that down tube storage and the clean look, you have an excellent gravel bike that covers a ton of what I call the gravel bike spectrum. With these gravel bikes and so many others on the market, does the Crux still have a place going into 2024? Do me a favor, drop me a comment below and let me know what you think. A typical product cycle on one of these bikes is, 3 or 4 years. So that would indicate that we'll see a new Crux in a couple of years. But look, 2 years in, the Crux still remains one of the lightest gravel bikes on the market, and it's still widely regarded as a fantastic bike, always competing for one of those top spots in the fast gravel category. And 2 years in, it's still that bike that puts a smile on my face every single time that I ride it. While it might be starting to show its age, it has a unique level of playfulness that can be found both on and off-road, while still featuring external cables and, for the most part, being a very simple, understated bike, one that is easy to live with day in and day out. And at the time of recording this, a few of these models are 15% off, which I'll link down below. I can tell you that's a discount that I wish I would have received when I purchased my Crux. The Crux is a fantastic one bike solution, solving the question that I had in fall of 2021. What if I could only have one bike? Which would I choose? In 2023, I can confidently answer, I'd still choose the Crux. Anyways, thanks for watching. Do me a favor and tag me in your Crux build photos, and I'll share them in the coming days. Until next time.